Hi everyone, thank you for watching this new brew guide video we've been putting together. We've had quite a lot of really nice emails coming through to the betterbrewing@workshopcoffee.com email address that we put together. It was designed to sort of help out anyone who's not necessarily getting the very best results at home, or thinks they can improve things and wants to take that extra step to making a really, really good cup of coffee at home. And one of the most common questions we had from people was, how do I go from brewing a single cup with a V60 to 2 to 3 cups with a V60? And it's a great question because this is a very versatile brewer. One thing can produce anything from one small cup to enough for 3 to 4 people to drink if you know what to change. So I'm going to go through a little bit about how to brew enough for 2 to 3 people. Okay. So rather than using 18 grams of coffee to 300 grams of water, for this recipe we're going to do double that, 36 grams of coffee to 600 grams. So 2 really generous cups, 3 at a push. You could easily upscale again and go 45 grams to 750, keeping that same ratio of coffee to water. And that's totally achievable in this cone as well. Bigger than that, you might struggle a little bit, and then you're talking sort of Mocha Master territory or maybe a Chemex. But we can definitely get a nice, healthy 3 people brew out of a V62 cup. I've got really, really hot water here, filtered water, so it's going to be pretty nice. And I'm going to try and brew as soon as possible because as we sit, I'm losing temperature. So let's begin. 36 grams warrants around 90 grams or so for the bloom to get everything really nice and wet. And unlike the single cup V60 where I condone really getting in there and mixing quite aggressively, getting everything really wet, you can just gently stir with the larger brews. The reason for that is because we're going to be adding so much more water, every time we add water, it's effectively stirring the coffee bed and the slurry, as well as rinsing out flavour particles. So I'm not too concerned at this point. We've got a lot more water, a lot more coffee to deal with, and we're going to be pouring a lot more through. So a quick mix is all we really need. Wait 30 to 40 seconds or so, and then we're going to keep pouring. Now, what a lot of people were asking was, how do I need to change my grind when I'm updosing and making a larger pot of coffee? And I recommended caster sugar-like consistency for both the Clever Dripper and the single cup V60. And here we're talking more like dry couscous. Go a few notches coarser because even though we're using more coffee and we want the water to flow through at a similar rate, so you need to counteract the extra resistance from the larger dose by coarsening the grind of the touch and allowing a bit more flow through the bed of coffee. So that's sort of where I would pitch your grind to begin with. And in terms of pouring, same kind of approach. I'm not really raising the level too much higher than about maybe 2/3. Aim for about 1/2 to 2/3 up the cone and just keep it pretty level as it drains through. You'll get a feel for if your grind is off, if it's taking ages to drain through, or if it's running through really, really fast. Just like at the end of the single cup V60 brew, we sort of see how long it takes to draw down. We'll do the same here, and that's going to help us troubleshoot if we need to alter the grind for next time, as well as obviously how it tastes. So pour a little bit more. I'm coming up to 400 grams in about 2 minutes. So hopefully this whole brew will be finished in under 4 minutes. I think it was a similar time for the 1 cup V60. And that's okay. It doesn't need to be double the time or anything because we're brewing double the coffee. We're trying to flow through at a similar rate. Keeping it topped up nice. The other cool thing is, with the single cup, it's really imperative to have everything as hot as possible because not that much water is actually going to pass through the coffee. Because I've got a little bit more passing through here, I'm not too concerned about the ceramic cone sinking heat out of the brew water at all. And we're just approaching 600. 3 minutes 10 on the clock. This will easily drain through in about 30 seconds or so. I might just give it a little mix. And that's mainly to avoid ground sticking to the side of the filter paper as it drains through. Make sure nothing was left out of this last drawdown. You'll be able to see as well from the look of the grounds at this point, if it looks really piecey and flaky, it's probably ground a little bit too coarse. If it's got a little slight, sludgy, fine, silty layer on the top, maybe it's a little too fine. What you want to see is like the individual grains of the grind still. So this looks about right. 3 minutes 45. Slight trickle still to go. We'll call that done, 350. It's a good idea to mix any brewed coffee you're making before portioning it out, especially when you're serving more than one person, because someone might get a slightly stronger cup and someone might get a slightly weaker cup. Okay. So this is a coffee from Buesaco in Nariño. It's a community coffee, so it's not just from one farm, but blended from a lot of small producers. I'm a big fan of it because it has a lot of subtle stone fruit notes, kind of apricot-y, but mainly a really sweet nougat kind of flavour to it, like a sweet nut. Nuttiness in coffee is very divisive, and often it can be sort of a raw nut, overwhelming, drying kind of character. But in this case, even though there's a nut character to it, it's very much sweet, toasted nuts with sugar and things like that. So I'm not too afraid of saying it's a nutty coffee. Yeah, very, very sweet. Quite mellow, and really, really long finish in this one, which I quite like as well. The body's quite juicy for brewed coffee as well. It's not too slim. It's got sort of a bit more texture to it, kind of like fructose, like fruit sugars. It's really tasty. I don't think I'd alter too much for the next brew. It seemed to come through in the right amount of time. So I'm pretty happy with it. It's just a case of, nice coffee, get the grind set to where it needs to be, and nice water running through. And the technique for this one is basically the same as the 1 cup. We just got to maybe stir a little less at the very beginning and keep it topped at the right level. It's not too much to it. So I hope you have a lot of fun brewing for 2 or 3 people. It's a very nice thing you can do for people as well during lockdown. Give them a cup of coffee to keep them smiling and happy. So yeah, thank you very much. That's all from us today, and we'll see you soon.